Carpentry by NJT is based in the western suburbs and has many years of experience to assist you in sourcing any and all of your carpentry needs. Carpentry by NJT are great supporters of local soccer clubs in Melbourne's western suburbs, including ambitious State League One outfit Sydenham Park Soccer Club. Home Builders Corp, meanwhile, is a Melbourne-based construction company by the same owners with more than 15 years' experience. Home Builders Corp specialises in new homes and unit developments. With attention to detail, they work to the highest standard to satisfy their customers with a very quick turnaround. For further details about how either Carpentry by NJT or Home Builders Corp can help you, contact owner-manager Nick on 0410 576 018 or via email at nick@homebuilderscorp.com.au. Carpentry by NJT and Home Builders Corp are the proud major sponsors of the Football Out West show. Good evening, folks, and a warm welcome to you all wherever you may be. Thank you for joining us here on the Football Out West show. My name is Tonchi Prusak. It's an absolute pleasure to be here with you tonight. And as always, so let's bring him on straight away, my co-host, Steve Curtin. How are you, Steve? We're going to get down to business straight away tonight. There's so much to talk about, isn't there?
There is. There's heaps going on. Would you believe there's a World Cup happening on our shores at the moment? Just caught up in World Cup fever. There you go. The pride of a nation, the Matildas. Had to put the scarf on for tonight's show, of course. And yeah, got down to Fed Square the other night and saw one of our favourites, Brenton Ray, was down there. I hadn't seen Brenton for a while. It's been a big weekend in football, obviously in the NPL competitions as well. Just going through all the drama that's happened this week. It's always hard to summarise it in a brief and concise manner, but we'll do our best as always. But how are you doing tonight, Tonchi?
Very good, mate. Very good. We've got a huge show tonight. We're going to talk about the relegation battles, a special emphasis on the relegation battles in the NPL, NPL2 and NPL3 competitions or divisions. But before we get into that and before we delve into that and talk about tonight's guest, Steve, let's talk about the Matildas. They've really captured the hearts and imaginations of the entire nation. And look, better late than never. Thank goodness. It's great to see the mainstream media and good to see all sections of the Australian community, I guess, jumping on board the bandwagon. It might only last a couple of weeks, but look, let's revel in it while we can. Look at that. A record home crowd of 75,784. That is awesome. And on top of that, speaking of being on top,
the TV numbers were very good as well, weren't they? 4.88 million views on Channel 7. That doesn't include the Optus Sports numbers as well. And then, of course, all the people that were at live sites and what have you around the country watching it, their local clubs, a lot of community clubs putting on functions to come and watch that game after training, which is great. And a lot of families and a real there's a real family atmosphere around the whole Matilda squad, I suppose. Even with Katrina Gorry's daughter Harper always in and around the squad as well. It's fantastic as their little mascot.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's really good. Like I said, it's great that we've finally got the everyone on board, really. That's the best way to describe it. And, look, like I said, how long will it last? I'm sure the vast majority of the AFL-loving state of Victoria will go back to their normal affairs once it's all over. But, look, it's so good that football is so big. And I think, Steve, correct me if I'm wrong, it is already broken records as far as the most amount of tickets sold for a Women's World Cup. So already it's making grounds, isn't it?
It is, and another game in Melbourne. I didn't get to the one on Friday afternoon that was on during work time, but a really good crowd. I think in the mid 21,000s at that one that was in the middle of a work and school day on Friday afternoon, and I'm going along tomorrow night. We got the 6:30 kickoff tomorrow night? It's Germany and Morocco at Melbourne Rectangular Stadium, as it's known. And doesn't it look the part? Imagine if the A-League games could have that quality surface for all season long. Geez, we'd see some good football.
Oh, absolutely. Now, absolutely right. Now, we're going to talk about NPL Victoria football today. We've got a couple of big guests, both from the NPL and the NPL2 division. And wow, the relegation battle is really, really hotting up. But so too is the promotion battles in NPL2 and NPL3. And we'll cover that all this, everything that happened this weekend. We'll be covering that and more. But Steve, we've got two very, very special guests on tonight's show. Tell us about them.
Yeah, first one joining us after the news and the initial chit-chat here is the coach of the North Geelong Warriors, TOMI GAVRAN, and you saw his side in action yesterday afternoon at Elko Park in a thrilling game against the Heidelberg United side, who they're addicted to playing exciting football matches. They play with seems like I saw them the week before against Avondale, against the league leaders, where they also drew very open and expansive style of play and not too worried about defensing. So maybe we can thank George Katsakis and in yesterday's case, TOMI GAVRAN for your entertainment yesterday that you provided all the viewers on NPL TV yesterday, Tonchi. But also another guest coming to join us is CHRIS GREECHAN, the NPL2 coach from Gardeners Creek Reserve, the coach of the Eastern Lions. They didn't have the best afternoon yesterday, but they're looking to bounce back next week.
Apart from him being a good friend of the show, CHRIS GREECHAN, you might be thinking, why is Football Out West, why are we calling a club from the eastern suburbs to come on tonight? I tell you what, they are mid-table and they are perfectly placed to give us a very unbiased view of the battle for promotion and the battle for relegation in NPL3. I tell you what, it is very, very exciting, both at the top and at the bottom. We actually reached out and tried to get Michael Trigger from Ballarat City, and would have been fantastic, but unfortunately Michael was busy. But they are on absolute fire in NPL3. 4 weeks ago, you would have thought done and dusted for Wooden Spooners, but they I think it's 4 wins now on the trot for Ballarat.
That's right, and they're playing all these Sunday afternoon games, and if it wasn't for that, maybe it would be easy to get access to maybe to get Michael Trigger or someone from Ballarat. If you've got a speed dial of any number, any players, coaches from Ballarat, we'd love to
City.
Speak. The boys from Morshead Park have
they are amazing.
Had an unreal season, not good, and now very good.
Unbelievable. But yeah, we'll be looking at NPL1, NPL2, NPL3 after this break. But when we take a short break, we'll be looking at the NPL Victoria competition. There's only 3 rounds remaining, and the battle for both the top 6 spot as well as what is happening down at the other end of the table is really, really riveting stuff. Folks, don't go away. We'll be back very, very shortly. When we return, it's time for the news desk. Okay, don't go away. Welcome back to the Football Out West show. As we said, it's episode 20 of the year so far. 122 episodes in total over 5 years. We're churning through these episodes. And tonight we'll be looking at NPL, NPL2 and NPL3 with a particular focus on the battle for survival. And Steve, I tell you what, a lot of lot of people who don't like football, who don't like soccer, don't understand the relegation and promotion and why us soccer folk are so keen about it. But the battle, the intrigue, the entertainment, the tense climactic end to the seasons that promotion relegation provides is just unrivaled, isn't it?
Yeah, I think you've put it perfectly there, Tonchi. It is. It means that the battle at the bottom is being fought equally as much and equally as aggressively as it is at the top, and because there's a lot at stake, and clubs don't want to lose their status in their current division, and they want to hang on and try and hang on and consolidate and go again next year, of course. But yeah, it's always exciting time of year.
It is. So let's have a look now at round 23 of the NPL Victoria competition. We'll pop the ladder, and then if you could provide us with the results.
Yeah, I think we should start this week. I've been going in most recent to the furthest back, but I think we'll start from Friday night this week, because it was another round where we had a lot to keep across, especially with these battles we talked about relegation there, Tonchi, but also the battles for the top six.
Yes,
are the ones that have been really hotting up. So yeah, Friday night I was on hand with Craig Filer, joined me for the final time for the season, and it was good to be alongside our good man, good friend Craig, and many thanks to Craig for all his work organising guests week in, week out, and also for tonight. And of course, we wish him good luck for his week ahead. But onto the match itself, Green Gully, really good performance from them. 2-0 winners against the Melbourne Knights. Addo Kadakpo coming on for Pierce Waring, scoring straight after halftime, and a bullet goal from our guest of last week, Gianluca Iannucci. He'd assisted the previous week. He comes on Football Out West. What happens? He scores his second goal of the NPL Victoria season. If you haven't seen it, it was an absolute beauty. That result put Green Gully back in the top six, ahead of the Altona Magic. Moving on to Saturday, Hume City went down to Kingston Heath and played the Bentley Greens. Josh Bingham scoring yet another goal, well, second time this season, where he's received the ball on the chest and turned and volleyed the ball home. This one, maybe the camera angle didn't catch it as well as the one he scored against Moreland City earlier in the season against CB Smith Reserve, but it's worth looking at this one again by Josh Bingham. A cracking goal. Then he scored again in a one-on-one with the keeper, putting the result to bed. 2-0 winners there for Hume City, and they will be safe with that result from any kind of threats of relegation. Meanwhile, at CB Smith Reserve, there was the Basement Boys, Moreland City, playing host to Dandenong Thunder. It was a man-of-the-match performance from Casper Hallam, who scored the opener, had a couple of assists. Also, Scott Lockhead scoring twice, and their top scorer, the highest scoring central midfielder in NPL Victoria this season, I believe, Grad Damon, the Dutchman, scoring on 65 minutes. So a 4-0 win for the Dandenong Thunder. Owen Ashton was sent off for Heidelberg United on 41 minutes at Elko Park yesterday. The result ended up 0-0, an entertaining 0-0 nonetheless. Then on Saturday evening, it was South Melbourne side made the short trip to JL Murphy and really flexed their muscles. 2-0 up within 15 minutes, Marko Yankovic and Pat Langlar. Then Langlar went on to score a second, and it was Riak scoring a fourth. So not a good night at the office of Port Melbourne on their home turf, but a really good result for South Melbourne, looking to return to form. And this was the big result on Saturday night at Paisley Park. Oakley Cannons travelled there to take on the Magic. Valentini opened the scoring on 46 minutes. We thought the Cannons would be making it all one-way traffic from there. Then Charlie Leach popped up to score a very tidy goal on 65 minutes. Then a second for him, a brace for him. Then Mickey Gamo was sent off on the 94th minute, but it didn't matter. Altona Magic got the all-important 3 points, put themselves back in the top six, Tonchi, and edged out Green Gully again. So that battle for top six spot is the sixth spot is the most engrossing one in the competition at the moment. And then another home match for St Albans this afternoon. A bit of drama there as well. Kalalu Kamara opened the scoring on 34 minutes, and then Yusuf Ahmed with another penalty kick for him on 89 minutes. Dylan McGlade getting a goal in his new colours for the St Albans Saints on 95 minutes, and then there was 2 red cards. Joey Monek sent off in the dying minutes of the first half. Sean Timmins sent off in the 86th minute. So the St Albans side will have some problems with suspensions after that one, which they can ill afford in their squad that's struggling for form at the moment.
Yeah, also most notable about that game. It was Zoran Markovski, Avondale's coach. It was his 100th game as Avondale coach, and geez, he's got a very, very good strike rate at the moment as far as a win, draw, loss record. But it's time. We saw the ladder, and I'll actually bring that ladder back up, and we'll go through that again. Avondale very much on top at the moment, but South Melbourne closing in. Look, they're 4 points behind. They've got a game in hand against Heidelberg. Oakley Cannons, they've lost their last 2 games, but they're still very, very comfortable up in the top 3. Melbourne Knights, well, by virtue of the fact that Port Melbourne got spanked by South Melbourne, they retained their spot in the top 4. But yeah, after that loss against Green Gully on the weekend, and then Green Gully would have been hoping that Altona Magic would have lost against Oakley, but that wasn't the case to be. And that's, as you said, that is really intriguing. That's really enthralling, that contest for that 6th spot there. Port Melbourne lost, Altona Magic got closer, Green Gully got closer. So 3 games to go. Tell you what, anything is possible. Not just, well, at the top, I guess it's almost like done and dusted, Avondale. Although mathematically South Melbourne still can get there. Avondale have got a really good chance as far as the minor premiership. But down the other end of the competition standings, geez, I tell you what, this weekend is going to be an absolute match of the century. North Geelong travel to Churchill Reserve to take on sister club St Albans, who are on the same amount of, well, they could have been on the same amount of points if North Geelong had managed to defeat a 10-man Heidelberg United yesterday. But as far as 0-0 draws go, this was very, very tense, very entertaining, and I dare say there was very nerve-wracking for a lot of people, but none more so than our next guest, TOMI GAVRAN, who's the coach of North Geelong Warriors. It's an absolute pleasure to welcome back Tom to the Football Out West show. Tom, how are you doing? And you feeling a little bit worse for how much did yesterday's game sort of have an effect on your health today?
Yeah, good evening, fellas. Thanks for having me. Yeah, as you know, I'm pretty animated on the sidelines and took up a few kilometres pacing up and down, and it was pretty vocal yesterday. So yeah, pulled up a little bit worse for the morning, but I'll soldier on just like the club is.
Yeah. And tell me, what was your approach going into the game against Heidelberg? Obviously, their position in the league isn't as impressive as it might be, but they were able to get a 1-1 draw against the league leaders last week. You would have had to take them as a very serious threat as coming down to Elko Park yesterday.
Yeah, definitely. I obviously did a bit of analysis on Heidelberg and watched a few clips leading into the game yesterday. You know, they're a good side. They picked up a couple of good players during the transfer window as well. You know, they're probably a better side than what the table suggests at the moment. But I suppose going into yesterday's game, there wasn't going to be any real surprises. They play sort of a straight-out 4-3-3 and, you know, don't have any kind of, you know, confusing rotations. I mean, we played the Knights and Dandy Thunder the previous 2 weeks, and, you know, they have their inverted fullbacks that come inside and cause a little bit of an overload in midfield. But Heidelberg's a bit more of a standard sort of you know, formation and you know, rely on their sort of individual players that they've got. So I went into yesterday's game full of confidence that, you know, that we can actually break their first line and get our sixers on the ball as much as possible and try and use our pace out wide as well. So, yeah, we went into the game really confident yesterday on the back of, I mean, Dandy Thunder game aside, I think we've had a really good block of about 6 weeks. In the last 5 or 6 weeks, we've had a really good block with some positive results, and even in some of our losses, you know, where we kind of played, you know, particularly against Gully. I thought we were the better team against Gully, and Knights sort of was a game with 2 halves where they had the better of us in the first half, and we played really well in the second half. But yeah, so we've got full of confidence. We're full of confidence at the moment that we can beat anyone that sort of presents to us on the day, and you know, as a minimum, be competitive at least.
Yeah, Tom, look, you went into the game obviously with a lot of changes, forced changes, particularly across the back line. No Matthew Stosic, fullback, no Anthony Barnavart, centre back as well. Had to reshuffle the team a little bit. Defensively, though, the team did seem to do quite well. It absorbed a lot of pressure, but it was more so the attacking foray starting from the defence that kind of particularly up the flanks. Was that sort of something that you spoke about leading up to the game, that tactically you had to change things around as well as personnel?
Yeah, it was good. It was exciting yesterday because it was a completely different lineup yesterday. And as you said, it was a couple of force changes, but then I also made a couple of changes myself to sort of bring a bit of, I guess, renewed energy after a 6-0 loss the week before. And there's a couple of new boys that were brought into the squad as well that were, chomping at the bit to get an opportunity. And, they came into the lineup yesterday and showed their worth as well. So, and I even changed positionally a couple of players. I pushed, Charlie Fleming, our Irish visa player, up a bit higher up the park as a winger yesterday, and brought Nelson Songo back into the lineup as a fullback, and I thought he did well. Gave debuts to Jacob Silverine, who CHRIS GREECHAN will know because we came over from Eastern Lions, and also gave a debut to Cameron Sherry, who was ex-Werribee City. And they held their own, definitely. Had a really good game, and had sort of Lockie Mack on sort of one wing with pace, and went with Kai Williams up top. And he's not a natural number 9, but gives us a bit of pace and sort of height as well as a bit of strength for a youngster. He's sort of reminded me of a young Matthew Leckie. I mixed it up a little bit yesterday. Obviously put Nicola down back again in the absence of Banavats. And we did well. I thought we were fairly solid yesterday. We're lucky to not, concede early from a set piece again, which would have really, impacted us mentally. But once we got over that kind of first chance, I put into the game and controlled most of it. And, it was sort of unlucky as well as lucky at times. But as you saw, in the second half, we had a couple of really good chances to seal the victory. So it was disappointing not to get three points, but we'll take that into next week and hopefully put on the same performance against St Albans.
And Charlie Fleming, you mentioned there, he hit the woodwork, hit the crossbar in injury time from the set piece. You would have been ready to jump for joy had that one gone in, no doubt. But yeah, what has he brought to your team as a visa player? And you would have been planning a big celebration if that one had gone in.
Oh, mate, I fell to the ground, to be honest, and I ended up on my back. So I was, in disbelief. He couldn't have hit it any better. He probably hit it too well, and it was probably a metre too close to the goals because it was just outside the box, and it was debatable whether it was a penalty or not either, the handball. But yeah, he couldn't have hit it any sweeter. It was as pigeon as it gets. And then obviously had a late chance with, Luke Zivcic, soon after that as well, and my sort of late substitutes who, got on the end of the cross as well. But yeah, I suppose back to your question, Charlie's been really good for us. It's the first sort of, he's new to the NPL. He's only just come over from Ireland. He played in the Premier League over there and managed to get him in through one of his agents. He's been really good for us. A natural athlete. He's got good fitness, good pace, good work rate. He's probably the best crosser of the ball in our team as well. So that's why one of the reasons I pushed him up the park a little bit higher. I pushed him up the park yesterday, and he's a bit of a character too, and very passionate. I've got him on side, and really rate him highly.
Yeah. Now, Tom, two players are obviously that are not going to be there in the game against St Albans. Hamish Flavel, who was substituted. We'll talk about that. But after the game, there was a bit of a melee, and I believe Nikola Jutkovic got a red card. Is that right? Because there was a red card brandished and to a North Geelong player. Is that right?
So with Hamish, it's not definitely, it's not a definite that he's out. He did come off yesterday. But
was it the knee or what was it? What?
He got collided into and impacted his knee, sort of jarred it a little bit, and he couldn't feel it. He reckons it went all numb, hence why we had to stretch him off and had it bandaged up post game, but said that he had a bit of feeling back in it, and hopefully it's nothing structural. But young Seth Suka did quite well when he came on as well. I thought he commanded the box quite well and was quite vocal as well. So if if Hamish doesn't pull through, then we've got an able replacement definitely in that respect. And
how old is young Seth? Young Scooter? Is he still a teenager?
No, he's not a teenager. I think he's about 20. I think 21.
Yeah. No, he did very well when he came on because I think he was a bit surprised that he had to come on. But look, there was quite a bit of concern because at one stage Hamish was lying prone on the floor, and it's always that concern that how serious is it? And when kind of, I think it was the referee or the player said, yeah, stretcher, bring the stretcher out. It was like, okay, this is quite serious. But it's good to hear that he may be back next week, but obviously it depends on what happens this week.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, hopefully good news for Hamish, and he's a clubman. He's part of the leadership team as well, so he's the ultimate professional, Hamish. So whether he's playing or not, I'm sure he'll rally the troops and try and be a positive influence throughout the week.
Yeah, and Nikola Jurkovic, he got the red card, was it, or was it someone else there? Well, we couldn't even tell in the melee afterwards.
Yeah, I didn't quite see what eventuated. I think the Heidelberg coach had a few words to say and was trying to poke the bear, so to speak. But I don't know kind of what happened after that, and I'll sort of steer clear from that and let the what happens happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll look ahead to next Saturday afternoon. It's unusual to see St Albans playing a home game on a Saturday afternoon, but that's what's in the fixture, and you're up to Churchill Reserve. How are things looking going into that game? St Albans, like they're a team maybe down on their luck and down on confidence at the moment. Maybe a chance for you guys to get a win on the board in your third last game of the season?
Regardless of whether they're down on confidence or not, it's about us, and our confidence is high at the moment. And like I said earlier, the way we've been playing in the last sort of 6 weeks, I think we could, we've proven that we can match most teams and, can be competitive and, had a really good patch there. We got a couple of wins in a row. Obviously St Albans, fighting for their life as we are. And I went to watch them today as well, just to obviously, cast my eye over them and, see what they've got. And they put up a good fight today. They showed a bit of endeavour today. And, as we know, it's a smaller pitch at St Albans. It's a fairly high tempo game. There's not a lot of fluidity to it. There's not not much controlled possession, although they did sit back a little bit, coming up against Avondale. They won a lot of first and second balls, and, their fight was quite impressive today. And no doubt that they're going to try and bring that fight next week into the game, but I've got all confidence in the world in our boys, especially after, like I said, the recent block of games aside from the Dandy game, and a bit of an injection of youth and some new players. Done the trick, I thought, yesterday, and we'll go into this week's game full of confidence that we can, get the 3 points, which is obviously vital for our survival.
Yeah, thanks to Mark Ivkovic. He makes a really interesting comment there in the comments section. St Albans are in big trouble. They've only picked up 3 points in their last 10 games. Whereas, Tom, you guys in the last 6 games, I think it's 2 wins, a draw, and 3 losses. And look, it's kind of been a bit of a patchy kind of a period, but at least you are collecting points and picking up points in that period. You went out there today. The loss of the red cards of Monek and Timmins, is that going to be a big blow for St Albans, or you think they've got enough players to cover those 2 players in their positions?
Look, it's always a blow when you lose 2 players, and especially Joey Monek, who provides a lot of pace down that wing, and he's got a lot of NPL experience, so he's definitely going to be a loss for them. And Shawnee has been playing as a centre back in recent times as well. They've sort of been shuffling their back four a little bit, but Timmins was quite good, I thought, today too. So he's obviously going to be a loss for them. But they've got young, so there's Zach Thomas, who played as a fullback, so I'd probably almost expect him to come into either a centre-back role, or he might stay where he is. And Justin Mikulev came on, and I'll probably envisage him possibly playing as part of that back four next week as well. So, they've got a bit of cover there, and, no doubt, like I said, they're going to put a strong team on the pitch. They've still got, the likes of Michael Gergic as well, who's, their captain and sort of commands that back four as well. And, not a bad midfield as well. So, it's going to be a tough game. But, anytime you lose a couple of players, it's obviously going to be a loss, and, unsettles the squad. I suppose it just depends on how much it has an impact on their psyche and their mentality going into this week.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's a really good insight on where St Albans are at and what they've been doing down to a T. Is there any thoughts about these clubs, you guys included in the lower places on the table, that, if there is the National Second Division kicking off next season, that the relegation won't actually take place this year? And is that something that people are talking about behind the scenes?
To be honest, we haven't mentioned that not once within the change room. So, I do know there's some whispers, but we want to survive on merit. And survive on merit, and you're sort of setting yourself to fail even in the long run and next year. If it was to be the case that we survive, so we want to survive on merit. And the last time the club was in the top flight in 2017, they went straight back down again. So we want to create a bit of history and be that team that does stay up. I've sort of been using that as a bit of motivation for the boys. Always try and go into games with a bit of a theme to motivate the boys. And sometimes it works, sometimes it gives you a bigger lift than other weeks. But I'm big on motivation and trying to tap into the mental side of things, as well as the tactical and technical as well. But yeah, we want to survive on merit. We've already outscored the number of points that we achieved last time in the league, which is a good achievement in itself. But it doesn't mean anything if we go straight back down. So it's important for the club because of the youth that we've got. I've loaded something like 6 or 7 teenagers this year, which I don't think any other club can vouch for. But and that's, we want to survive for the sake of those boys having something to strive towards and to be able to play in the top flight. And obviously myself, I've got my own ambition and I want to be able to stay in the league and stay coaching at the top level. And hopefully the club sees that as well. So we're all sort of fighting. It's bigger than just me and the players. It's for the club, but the day we all want to be in the top flight, whether it's as a coach, as a staff member that's helping out, whether it's Chugs, the goalkeeper coach, and Mattia, who's helping out with our GPS tracking and our support staff and our play. We all want to be in the top flight, So it's hard to make it. It's even harder to stay in there, but. As you can see with NPL2 at the moment, it's a pretty tough league to get out of. So we want to try and stay up here.
Is it ever?
Big time.
Yeah. Now, not trying to put the extra pressure. I think there's enough pressure. It's basically a grand final game. This against a sister club on Saturday. But after St Albans, you've got Oakley at home, which is a midweek game now on a Tuesday night because of Oakley's commitment in the Australia Cup, and then the final home game of the season against none other than South Melbourne. So 2 really, really tough games at home to finish it off. But out of the 4 games you have won so far, one of them is against St Albans. So you're going to Churchill Reserve. Do you think that win, although they did defeat you guys in the Australia Cup, but do you think that league win might give you that little bit of a psychological boost going into this must-win game against St Albans next Saturday?
I mean, for us, it's going to work in a positive way for us. How it works from their end, I know I'm not too sure, but there's always that thought from the previous game, and we definitely did that even yesterday with Heidelberg. We took out the positives out of the last time that we that we got a point off Heidelberg away, which was sort of unlucky not to get 3 then as well. So kind of history sort of repeated itself. So history often does repeat itself, but we need to go into the game full of confidence and not underestimate St Albans, because it's definitely going to be a scrap and it's definitely going to be a tough game. And they played some good football. I was pretty impressed with Yanni Panakos that played as a 10 today. Had a couple of good little touches on the ball, and and Joey Chorno worked his bum off in the midfield today as well. So they've got some decent players. So. But yeah, obviously we'll use that during the week and take confidence out of the fact that we got 3 points against them last time, so it proves that we can do it. But like I said, the last sort of 6-week block has been really positive. 1 game aside, so we'll take that whole 6-week block out of into this week's game, and we're not going to undersell the importance of it, but it's pretty obvious how important this game is. And at the end of the day, it's all about desire. It's how much the boys want it, and I've kind of got a bit of a theme that we've been going with the last couple of weeks. So as long as we kind of keep living out that theme and living out that little sort of team motto that we've been instilling recently, then we've got every chance of coming out on top.
Certainly looks like there's bright days ahead for North Geelong Warriors, win, lose or draw, because of that high rate of young players coming up through the ranks. But we'll have a look at round 24. Friday night, Oakley Cannons taking on Avondale. What a game that's going to be at Jack Edwards Reserve. It's the only Friday night game. Then we've got a series of Saturday games, all Saturday games. Moreland City at home to Heidelberg United. Bentley Greens at home to Port Melbourne Sharks. Very important games in the context of the relegation battle. Altona Magic taking on South Melbourne. That's going to be a good game at Paisley Park. Hume City at home to Melbourne Knights, also Saturday night. And then Dandenong Thunder taking on Green Gully. But the big one is at Churchill Reserve at 4 p.m. when St Albans Saints take on North Geelong Warriors. What a game that's going to be. Tom, we wish you all the best for that game. It's going to be a riveting clash, no doubt. A big crowd if we've got a good weather. But all the best for next week and for the rest of the season.
Thanks for having me, and hopefully we'll be talking again at the end of the season.
Sounds good, Tommy. Thank you. All the best.
Thank you. See you guys.
Bye-bye. Tom Gavran, the coach of the North Geelong Warriors, and thank you very, very much to Tom. He was feeling a little bit off colour today, but still he managed to put up a fight and come on the show.
He found a gear there, didn't he?
He did.
He had some very good insights for us, very open with his info. Good to chat with Tommy, as always.
Absolutely, and very much like his young team there, they're putting up a fight right to the very, very end. Folks, it's the Football Out West show. It's episode 20. When we return after this break, we're going to look at NPL2 football. We call it the competition of chaos because anything is possible, and it just keeps on bringing up the unexpected. We'll also look at NPL3, the NPLW, as well as State League 1 and State League 2. Folks, don't go away.
Our name is derived from the Greek prefix, macro, large. From the day we were born, this has been a promise for the future. We have grown through dedication, sweat, self-denial, faithful to our mission of being on the side of those who put themselves on the line. Through our name, we celebrate the greatness of those who believe there are no obstacles higher than their dreams. The courage to get back up after falling. The obstinacy of believing until the end. These are the values embedded in our logo. The Macron Hero. It's a celebration of sacrifice and tenacity. Up until your personal victory. Until your arms are in the sky. Become your own hero.
Welcome back to the Football Out West show. And Steve, let's have a quick look at the NPLW competition before we get our next guest. The NPLW competition expanded to 11 teams this year, and it's providing some really, really interesting, once again, both at the top and at the bottom, some interesting results each week. And let's have a look at the table after the latest round of matches.
Let's get the table, and we'll go through. We'll just go through those results from the weekend as well, Tonchi, while we're at it. And Friday night, Box Hill United 2-1 winners when Bayside United came to visit. We had Doi and Moria on the score sheet for Box Hill, and Diva scoring the solitary goal for Bayside United. And then going into Saturday's games, there was a real high scorer at Alamein. It ended Alamein 2, FC Bulleen Lions 4. So, Bulleen Lions just can't stop scoring goals at the moment, it seems. And they had Aliadis, Beck, Goad, and Zoyce all on the score sheet. And for Alamein, it was Shalambus and Vatke scoring the goals there. And it was a 3-0 win for Calder United over FV Emerging. Haida with 2 goals, Walsh with a goal as well. And I don't have the goal scorers for these games, but Southern United and Heidelberg United yesterday played out a 1-1 draw. And the score just to hand this afternoon, Preston Lions 1, South Melbourne 4. So a good weekend for South Melbourne in both the men's and the women's competitions, Sonchi.
Yeah, looking ahead to round 20 action next week. Preston Lions hosting Bulleen Lions at BT Connor Reserve. That's on Friday night at 6:15 p.m. The only Friday night game. And then on Saturday, we've got 4 games there. Calder United at home to South Melbourne. Bayside United hosting Alamein. Southern United at home to Football Victoria Emerging. And then Burundara Carey Eagles hosting Heidelberg United Saturday night at the Veneto Club. And if we now move our attention now to NPL3 Victoria competition, and then we'll be speaking to NPL2 Victoria coach CHRIS GREECHAN from Eastern Lions straight after that. So let's look at NPL3 Victoria. A really, really exciting battle at the foot of the competition standings, but also at the top as well. Steve, tell us more about NPL3 Victoria.
Yeah, that's right. I'll just skip down. I was looking at the NPL2 there. There's no point reading that out when we're looking at this. Yes, yesterday we had Burundara Kerry Eagles 3-2 winners over Geelong. So a good result for them. Burundara held on with 10 men for the last 26 minutes in that one. Not a good result for Geelong, though, who can't seem to get a break at the moment. Caroline Springs, George Cross, I think Mark in the comments has confirmed that 11 wins in a row, 2-1 winners against Bo Morris there for Georgies. There was an exciting 3-3 up at Shepparton between the Goulburn Valley Suns and North Sunshine Eagles, both teams finishing with 10 players apiece in that one. And it was Doveton and Box Hill United with honours even at 1-1. And then the results coming in today, another win for Ballarat City, 3-2 against the Essendon Royals. So Ballarat just keep on producing quality after they found themselves in the relegation zone. They've really turned things around with a fantastic winning streak they're on. Melbourne Victory continue their good run as well, 2-1 against Nunawading City there in the NPL3, Tonchi.
Yeah, if we take a look at the standings there, 19 rounds, 3 rounds to go. We've got Melbourne Victory up the top there. They're leading by 1 point from Caroline Springs, George Cross, who do have a game in hand against Nunawading City. So that could come down to the wire, and it could really depend on that outstanding game. For the champion eventually. But look, the battle for second spot is pretty much, I think, done and dusted. 8 points separates Caroline Springs, who are in second spot, and North Sunshine Eagles. The Eagles and Goulburn Valley Suns, for that matter, they would both have to win all of their games and rely on either Melbourne Victory or Caroline Springs losing all their games. So it's going to be really, really difficult in that regard. But if there's a restructure and there are more clubs that are either going to go up or going to go down, we don't know what's going to happen. And I think it could be one of those things that we might be waiting until deep into the off-season to find out. But it's at the foot of the competition standings that things are really, really interesting. If you can see there on the ladder, 3 of the bottom teams, 10th place Essendon Royals, 11th place Geelong City, and 12th place Ballarat City are all on 17 points. And then you got Bo Morris, 1 point above them. So things are really, really hotting up there at the foot of the NPL3 Victoria competition. Let's look at round 20 ahead this weekend coming. Essendon Royals taking on Burundara Kerry Eagles, who had that very good win over Geelong on the weekend. So that's a key game for Essendon Royals. But Burundara Eagles at the moment, they've been picking up some points, and this is going to be a real tough game for Essendon. Then we go on. Steve, you're going to say something?
No, carry on, mate.
North Sunshine Eagles, they host Bo Morris. So that should be a really, really good game as well at Larissa Reserve. North Sunshine Eagles, well, I guess they've got nothing to lose at the moment. So will they field weakened teams towards the end, or will they field their full strength side coming up against Bo Morris? Nunawading City at home to Goulburn Valley Suns. Doveton at home to Caroline Springs, George Cross, and then Box Hill United taking on Ballarat. Box Hill United taking on Ballarat City. Now that's going to be a big game, I tell you what. That's at Wembley Park on Saturday. And then Saturday night down at Stead Park, Geelong hosting the league leaders, Melbourne Victory. All right, this could be a big game. Geelong have been really, really struggling in recent weeks, and they come up against the might of Melbourne Victory. Look, that's going to be crucial to what happens in the outcome of the whole relegation battle. But and Melbourne Victory obviously need, if they want to keep that hope of winning the league title, they are going to absolutely need a win here. So lots happening as far as the NPL3, but it's time to let's take a look at the competition of chaos, isn't it? The NPL Victoria competition.
Look, this is what everyone who's tuning in for came for this particular purpose tonight, to get across the NPL2, and another weekend of a fair bit of drama as well. So we'll run through those games. Friday night, Brunswick Juventus and Western United. Western United were going in favourites in this one, but it took a late penalty from Grimaldi to rescue a point for Western United, cancelling out Richardson's goal for Brunswick Juventus. And it was honours even in the end. In the top of the table clash, Kingston City and Dandenong City 1-1. Damien Iaconis among the scorers, against his old team that he'd scored 50 goals for previously when he was previously at Kingston City. Thanks, Lockie Flanagan, for that stat. And in the match between Northcote City and Preston Lions, 2-0 to Northcote City. Preston not getting much going their way at the moment, with Harley Orr and Ryan Pachkowski both credited with own goals in that one. Eastern Lions going down to Brunswick City, 2-1. Manningham United Blues at Langwarrin were 5-3 winners, so a very good result there. Ben Everson with 4 goals in his account for the afternoon, not bad at all. But speaking of 4 goals, it was Lewis Bamford for Werribee City, who came off the bench at halftime, scored 4 second-half goals to ensure that Melbourne City and Werribee City finished at a remarkable, staggering 4 goals each. Max Caputo was among the scorers for Melbourne City. We've still got one more game to come as well. 2 of the favourite clubs of the northern suburbs, Bulleen Lions, maybe an northeastern suburb, we'll call them northeastern, and Pascoe Vale at the Veneto Club tomorrow at 8:15. That should be a beauty as well. Should be another good crowd there.
If Pascoe Vale was to defeat Bulleen Lions, could you imagine that? 26 points, the same as Brunswick Juventus, and 1 point behind 3 teams. Brunswick City, Werribee City, Bulleen Lions, and then you've got Langwarrin just ahead of that. So, I think the neutral out there will be hoping Pascoe Vale can capture all 3 points tomorrow. What a climactic end to what has been a crazy competition that would be. But our next guest, they sit sort of sitting in the middle, so they're comfortable, but they've got a very good insight into both what is happening at the top and what is happening at the bottom. And it's an absolute pleasure to bring back to the show an old favourite of the show, an old friend of our show, CHRIS GREECHAN, the coach of the Eastern Lions. Chris, good evening and welcome back to the Football Out West show. How are you?
G'day, guys. Thanks for having me on again. Second time this season.
Yes.
Really appreciate it. It's an absolute pleasure. Thanks very much.
Pleasure.
Just looking at some of the comments, my childhood club was George Cross, and just seeing them really power up the rankings in NPL3 is a great thing to see. Such a big club, and I see Peter Kauke and Mark Sultana make a few comments there, and I wish them all the best, and hopefully they can move up into NPL2 next year, which they look set for. So big shout out to Sunshine Georgies.
Yeah, it's certainly been an impressive debut season in the NPL3 competition for them, coming straight off their promotion from last year. Actually, we mentioned the game tomorrow night in NPL2, just touching on your competition, Bulleen Lions and Pascoe Vale. You've got Pascoe Vale next week on Friday night, a short turnaround for them. Will you be making the trip out to watch them tomorrow night?
I generally like the live stream with 2 young kids. My wife doesn't really allow me too much flexibility outside of my commitments at Eastern Lions.
Sounds sensible.
So we do have one of the lads will go out and have a look, but I'll be happy watching that on the laptop in bed. I like you've said, guys, from the start. I think you mentioned this after about 5 or 6 rounds. When we last spoke, this league is just ridiculous. It just cannot get a take on it. Being involved in it, it's been so exciting, but you just do not know what you're going to get week in, week out. You go to each ground, and you've just got absolutely no idea what to expect from not only your own side, but the opposition. It's been crazy.
Yeah, it's just like, you don't want the season to end, quite frankly. I mean, there's 3 games to go, but it's just that climactic. And I don't know about you, Steve, but every Sunday, I must admit, I look at the NPL2 and have a special spot for that because of you just don't know what to, as you said, Chris, you just don't know what to expect. But look, you've got a good insight at both ends of the competition standings. I'll bring that ladder up. Let's look at the top first of all. Who do you think will end up there being the top 2 teams to get promoted into the NPL? Because at the moment, there's really a battle for the top 2 between the top 3 sides. Look, Manningham United and Preston Lions are thereabouts, mathematically still with a chance. But Manningham have made a real late surge of late, whereas Preston Lions are really struggling. But Chris, what's your take on it? Who do you think out of all those, let's say, top 5 sides will be the top 2 that will get promoted to next year's NPL Victoria competition?
Yeah, look, us as a club at Eastern Lions, we've really struggled this year against the A-League youth sides. We haven't picked up a point out of the 4 games against those sides, so that's certainly something we need to look into. And for me, Western United are probably the team that really troubled us on both occasions. We struggled to manufacture a clear goal-scoring opportunity in both games, and I'm not 100% sure in their running, but I reckon they've got probably, again, you can't call any game easy, but from memory, I think they've got probably the best running that you could wish for. So I don't know, my money would be on them to be one of the two. And if you could pick the other one, I think, you may as well go and buy a Tats Lotto ticket because it's a free-for-all. I still wouldn't count out Preston. I think they've got, a load of experience. I know from a points perspective, they don't look to be in the hunt, but I'd never write them off. They're a powerhouse. They've got, depth within the side. So, and if you look at the top 2, I believe they've got quite a difficult run in as well. So, Western for me, and then it could be any one of 4 for the next for the other spot.
Yeah, well, if we look at the fixtures for next week, we've got Dandenong City on Friday night hosting Northcote City, and that's going to be a really good game. But it's the big one is Western United hosting Kingston City on Saturday night, 5 p.m. at the City Vista Pavilion. Now, wow, they don't get any bigger than that. And as you said, look, if Western, like, things could change so dramatically. Western United win, Dandenong City win, Kingston City all of a sudden from being top drop down to 3rd spot. And if Manningham United win, they'll be 1 point behind, or what? They'll be 3 points behind Kingston City, who would then be in 3rd place. Now, if Kingston City win, Dandenong City win, Western United are about 4 points off the pace. So, look, let's not throw the permutations and combinations of draws and all of that kind of stuff, but every week throws like an absolute blockbuster, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Like, I mean, the big disappointment from us is probably yesterday that, we felt that we had a huge chance of being in that top mix right up until, and I still wouldn't count it out, but, that's been the fascinating part of this comp. We addressed our players after about round 9 or 10. And I vividly remember my assistant coach turning around and saying, you'll probably, we've blown 2 or 3 opportunities up until now. You'll probably get 1 more. And we're now discussing in the team talk before yesterday's game that we've had another 4 chances beyond that. And we were still alive hope and still are, but probably to a very small degree. But it's just amazing how many opportunities have presented themselves. It's almost like no one wants to put their hand up to go up and delve into what Tomi Gavran's going through at the moment, who's a good friend of mine as well. So, yeah, it's been an amazing year.
And Chris, on the course of the year as well, has there been a moment or something in particular that's been the most pleasing aspect for you as a coach out at Eastern Lions?
Yeah, look, I think we, as a club, just rebuilding in general, the club's expectation was never to, albeit everyone wants to get promoted and win leagues, but I think for the Eastern Lions, it's more about being stabilising things both on and off the park after a pretty traumatic year last year. I think we went on a run. We got beat at Kingston 5-1 on a Monday night. I think I spoke to you guys not long after that game. 3 days later, we backed up against Northcote. We lost 4-1. And then 3 days later, we beat Green Gully in the Cup and went on a run of 7 out of 8 games we won. I think Brunswick City were the only team to beat us over a 7-week period. So I think without isolating, or looking at a game individually, it was that run of 7 weeks where we were able to beat Green Gully in the Cup. We beat Preston away. We beat Dandy City at home. So there's been a few highlights, but really the main aim is really just to stay in this league. And that's certainly not out the question either at the moment. Like, we're still battling relegation, even though if we win our game in hand, we're within 3 or 4 points at the top. So it's incredible.
Now, one of our viewers makes an interesting comment. Tony Hudson, he says, not sure NPL2 quality anymore when 2 games shipped in 16 goals. Now, one of those games was the Werribee City Melbourne City game. That was 4-4, but the performance of the super sub, Lewis Bamford, he scored a goal scored a goal in the 48th minute, then the 61st, then the 73rd, then the 76th. It's like a one-man goal scoring machine there. Chris, I mean, all right, maybe, I don't know about the quality. You can answer that about the quality, but definitely the entertainment factor, whether it's games being played for promotion or games being played for relegation, or as that Werribee City Melbourne City game suggests, just full stop games. It's incredible. The level of entertainment being provided is amazing. But what's your take on that comment about the quality of the competition?
Yeah, I've got a big criticism over the defensive abilities across the leagues, to be honest, or across our league in particular. There are a lot of goals shipped week to week, and I still think there's a bit of a gap with our players in terms of their ability to defend, particularly 1v1 scenarios, and that sort of defensive IQ of the game, which effectively leads to a lot of goals being scored. I don't know if that's maybe been a little bit harsh, but that's my critique on what I've been seen thus far. But certainly, again, talking about that, like I looked at the result as soon as we finished our game yesterday, and we played Werribee the week before. We won 1-0. There was not much in it. There was probably a chance or two either way. To see like 8 goals scored in a Melbourne City, it's just I was in disbelief. Just the fact that from one week where there's no chances created, and the same team go out and score 4 against one of the better teams in the league, Melbourne City.
Yeah.
Again, it just nothing adds up. So but certainly
that's the best way of describing it.
I just really love that everyone, you guys in the media and all the rest of it love it, because from a coach's perspective, I'm going to need to see like a cardiologist by the end of the season. It's not the same fun from the coach's box.
No, I believe that.
I totally believe that. Having been at a few NPL2 games at Preston this season, the coach technical area is right in front of the broadcast position. It's a tense place to be, possibly more tense than the NPL1, that's for sure. But looking at the squad this season, how have you managed to go getting a team on the park every week? Have you haven't seen you guys play firsthand myself, unfortunately, but have you had to battle injury? Has it seen a chance for youngsters to come in out of that good youth system that you've got out there at Eastern Lions?
Yeah, look, we retained 6 players from last season. We brought in the crux of 12 or 13 new players, a couple from overseas, a couple from interstate. So, the rebuild was quite good. But, our season, in the sense of within 10 minutes against Dandy City, we lost a player to suspension for 11 weeks. And he was one of our main focal points up front. 10 minutes later, our other focal point went down with a hamstring injury. He's since returned to New Zealand. So, with a club like Eastern Lions, you don't have the capacity to go out and spend on 16, 18, 20 experienced players. So, when you do lose 1 or 2 key focal players, it really does have an impact on your results, and we felt that. We've really felt that. We do have a young side, so we are trying to sort of bleed some of the youth through the system, but at the same time, it's very difficult in such a tough league to be able to get that balance. I feel we're safe now, mathematically, almost. So it's trying to get that blend where it would have been lovely to be safe 3 or 4 weeks ago, where we could start to, blend some of the youth in and expose them to that senior footy. But it's a real tough task to try and get that balance.
Yeah, look, there's only 3 games to go, and I guess once kind of mathematically you're safe, is there a case then of giving some of the youngsters, some of the talented players an opportunity to step up, and is that what you do, or what situation you're in at the moment? Do you just try and play your best team every week leading up to the very, very last round?
Yeah, I mean, from my point of view, we want to win every game, Tone. It doesn't matter where you are. My sort of goal at the start of the season from a personal point of view was to finish in the top 4. So how that pans out, that's still sort of one of my goals, and I really want to work to that. But if you can blend some youth in at the same time and expose them to that senior environment and finish, meet your targets, I think there's nothing better in football than to be able to sort of execute that. But we'll certainly be going out to win every game. We still are a chance. We've got a game in hand against Northcote in the catch-up round. So, that gets us, if we're able to win that, which is going to be another very, very tough game. I think Northcote are one of the better sides, more experienced sides in the league as well. But if we can win that, we're within 4 points of that second spot. So I certainly wouldn't be writing anything off at this point in time. But if we can, if we can bleed some youth in there, it would be really, really positive from my point of view.
Yeah.
For sure. Always good to be able to do that. Now, Chris, a question on another topic altogether. The Doherty Cup final coming up between Oakley and Heidelberg at Kingston Heath Reserve. There's a few question marks as whether that's the best venue or not. Is there, in your opinion, is that something we should be playing there? Have you got a favourite ground that you noticed this season that it'd be good to play it at, or is Kingston Heath a good option?
Yeah, I don't know. Look, I haven't really paid too much attention. I haven't really watched firsthand too many Bentley games this season, but from speaking to a couple of players who played there last weekend, they weren't sort of talking of the pitch and the surface as what it was like, what we know Bentley Greens to be, Kingston Heath. So, yeah, I'm not sure I would be a big fan of that, but I've always been a big fan of South Melbourne's pitch growing up. I used to watch them there at Bob Jane all the time. So I think that's probably our staple, stadium to watch a game at. But yeah, I haven't paid much attention to
I was going to add a qualifier and say, assuming that South Melbourne is not available due to World Cup training commitments.
Yeah, and Heidelberg, I guess, as well. Yeah,
and Heidelberg, yeah. Well, Eastern Lions is always a chance, but there's a few like sort of little hills that in each corner. So if you can battle with that, we can host if it's daytime.
Why not? Why not? Hey, why not? Now, on our comment section, we've got a couple of interesting comments. Brenton Ray, thank you. He's the newsman. He says NPL2 stream game next weekend is the blockbuster Western United and Kingston City. The NPL3 stream game next weekend is the Nunawading City and Goulburn Valley Suns. But our esteemed colleague and who's also been on this show as a co-host as well, Mark Ivkovic, he's got a very nice thing to say about you, Chris. He says, I think Chris has done an exceptional job this season, took over a struggling squad and completely turned things around. A young coach on the rise. So, mate, you're getting a lot of pundits there who are in the know saying some very, very positive things about you. So, mate, on that note, we wish you all the very best, not just for the rest of this season, but your future coaching endeavours as well. And, it's great to see what you have done at Eastern Lions this year. And we certainly look forward to following your fortunes in incoming seasons as well.
Boys, thank you. It's a pleasure, Mark. Thank you very much for the token comment there. Look, it's been a great season. I've really enjoyed sort of being enthralled in this NPL setup for the first year at senior level anyway.
Yeah.
I've been involved in the state leagues for a few years and just been able to work with players that have got that next level of commitment and just the resourcing and all the rest of it. Just fantastic to be able to even walk out onto a pitch and be sort of, up against, good coaches and experienced coaches, your Louis Asevskis, your Nick Tolios, these type of guys. It really is an honour to be out on the same pitch as them. So, Mark, thank you very much. And boys, thanks very much for having me again.
Chris, before we let you go, you've said you've had, extensive experience at state league level, but as a coach, and this is the one last question, I guess. As a coach, what's the difference in commitment level, time, I guess, and the resources needed to allocate to being a coach in the NPL2 compared to some of the state league clubs you've been coaching at in the past?
Yeah, it's a good question. You sort of go from carrying drink bottles out to the ground, and picking up all your cones to all of a sudden you're managing sort of 6 to 8 people. From that in itself has got a huge time output. Video people to analysts to physios so just the management of people in itself is a task in itself. The team of people. I think our sort of group that is on the message group is like 35 people. But in terms of analysing games, and because so many games are streamed and different things, I'm fortunate I've got a job that has got a bit of flexibility, so I can spend quite a bit of time. But I dare say, you're spending sort of 25 to 30 hours on the game.
Wow.
Whether that be sort of organising sessions or looking at a team that we're playing, the following week, or looking at our own game and breaking that down. It's a huge commitment.
Wow. Yeah, you're literally working 2 jobs there, so you've got to love it. You've got to have a desire to be living and breathing football, and that's what you do very well, Chris. And make sure you take a good break in the off season, of course, and come back even better next year. But keep up the great work, and thanks for coming on the show and being a serial offender coming on the second time this season.
No worries. I look forward to another time next season, guys. And
sounds good.
I'm certainly looking forward to that break, I'll tell you.
Yeah, spend some time with your young family. That's for sure. Good on you.
Good on you guys. All the best.
Thanks, Chris. Bye.
Chris Greechan, there from Eastern Lions. Not only is he a great coach, but a wonderful, wonderful bloke as well. So
just a really nice guy. I'm not sure how he goes if he has to give them a spray at halftime. I struggle to picture it, but I'm sure some of the players and backroom staff have seen it a few times this season.
That's maybe where the dad cap comes on and says, "Come on, you better be doing better in the second half, or else you're going to get a smack." Oh, you can't say that these days. I can say you just can't do it. All right, we're going to take a very, very short break. Look, when we return, we'll be talking about the State League 1 and the State League 2 men's competition. Will be a very, very quick overview. So, folks, don't go away. It's been a big, big show, but there's just still so much to talk about. We'll be back straight after this very, very short break.
Carpentry by NJT is based in the western suburbs and has many years of experience to assist you in sourcing any and all of your carpentry needs. Carpentry by NJT are great supporters of local soccer clubs in Melbourne's western suburbs, including ambitious State League 1 outfit Sydenham Park Soccer Club. Home Builders Corp, meanwhile, is a Melbourne-based construction company by the same owners with more than 15 years' experience. Home Builders Corp specialises in new homes and unit developments. With attention to detail, they work to the highest standard to satisfy their customers with a very quick turnaround. For further details about how either Carpentry by NJT or Home Builders Corp can help you, contact owner-manager Nick on 0410 576 018 or via email at nick@homebuilderscorp.com.au. Carpentry by NJT and Home Builders Corp are the proud major sponsors of the Football Out West show.
Welcome back to the Football Out West show. It's nearly stoppage time. The referee's looking at his watch. He's about to blow the final whistle. But before we do that, Steve, let's have a quick look at State League, Men's State League 1 and Men's State League 2. What is happening there? First of all, Men's State League 1, what happened on the weekend?
All right, well, if you will be happy for this one, I'll do the results in the James Alexander Gordon style. We'll go with the Men's State League 1 round 18 recap, and big thank you to Brent Ray for his help collating the scores. Upfield 1, Brimbank Stallions 3, Whittlesea United 2, Yarraville Glory 3, Corio 1, Whittlesea Rangers 0, FC Strathmore 3, Banyule City 4, Keilor Park 0, Altona City 2, Sydenham Park 3, Westgate 1 were the results in State League 1. Another exciting weekend in one of our favourite leagues in the state competition.
More thrills and spills and fun and happening down at the bottom there. Both Corio in 10th spot and Banyule City in the 11th. Both won their games. So, geez, that is making that battle for that escape from relegation, the survival, very, very close. So if we look ahead to this weekend's game, on round 19 coming up this weekend, we've got a big game on Friday night, Altona City taking on Whittlesea United at McIver Reserve. Then all the Saturday games, Banyule City at home to Sydenham Park, Brimbank Stallions at home to Whittlesea Rangers, FC Strathmore taking on Keilor Park at Strathnava Reserve, Yarraville Glory at home to Corio at McIver Reserve, and then at 6 p.m. Westgate taking on Upfield at Ardea Reserve, and that is the state of play in Men's State League 1. And last but certainly not least, Men's State League 2.
Yeah, State League 2, Northwest round 18 saw Altona East Phoenix 0, Albion Rovers 4, Altona North 0, Clifton Hill 1, Mill Park 1, Epping City 0, Western Suburbs 3, Hoppers Crossing 1, Geelong Rangers 2, Westvale Olympic 1, and finally Hume United 1, Lalor United 6.
Well, Geelong Rangers, big movers and shakers this week. They've jumped up a couple of spots and they're now in 9th spot, but they're certainly not safe from the dreaded relegation zone, that's for sure. At the other end of the competition standings up the top, Clifton Hill and Western Suburbs just going for it, hammer and tongs at the moment to see who is going to be the champion of the competition. Pretty much, with 4 games to go. Albion Rovers and Altona East Phoenix mathematically could still do it, but my money's on Clifton Hill and or Western Suburbs. But if we have a look at the round 19 schedule coming up for next week, all of these games are on Saturday and all are at 3 p.m. So first up, we've got Albion Rovers taking on Geelong Rangers. That's at Canley Park. Epping City taking on Altona North. What a game this is going to be. Epping City, look, mathematically they can still do it. And look, a win here would make things very, very interesting. Altona North, they can really jump out of the relegation zone, assuming Hoppers Crossing and Geelong Rangers don't do too well. But it's a must-win game for both these teams. Clifton Hill hosting Lalor United at Quarries Park. Hoppers Crossing taking on Altona East Phoenix at Grange Reserve. Western Suburbs at home to Mill Park. And last but certainly not least, Westvale Olympic taking on Hume United at McKechnie Reserve. And that is the state of play in the Men's State League 2 competition, Steve.
Yeah, another big weekend of State 2, and Brenton Ray's Hoppers Crossing, they'll be hoping to just get themselves away from that dreaded relegation zone.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and obviously there's the Women's World Cup happening this week. Thursday, Australia, the Matildas playing in their second game, and another great time, 8 p.m. Thursday night. I tell you what, I think we're going to be in for another ratings bonanza on that one. But
absolutely,
yes.
I'll be there, Tonchi. I will be the Football Out West correspondent from the halfway line in the 4th row of Suncorp Stadium or is it called Brisbane Rectangular Stadium?
You're flying up there, are you?
I'll be there for the game and looking forward to it very much. And hopefully the Matildas can create a few more clear-cut opportunities. But if we have to rely on another spot kick to get the win, well, that's what it will have to be.
Well, it doesn't matter how you get those 3 points. The most important thing is that you do get those 3 points. On that note, Steve, well, safe travels. And next Sunday, you can tell us all about your trip up to the Sunshine State. When you join us on episode 21 of season 5's Football Out West show, and that will be next Sunday. So
that's it. And a big good luck to Craig Filer on everything this week as well. And thanks for all your work.
Yeah, exactly right. He's got some personal things. We'll just call it that. Nothing serious, but he's just going to undergo a little bit of cosmetic surgery. Let's call it that. But all the very best to Craig, and thank you to our guests tonight, Tomi Gavran and Chris Greechan. They certainly provided some wonderful, wonderful insights, folks. From Steve and myself, good night and have a wonderful, wonderful week. Thank you very much.
Good evening.
Bye-bye.